All right, so for the next one, it says in the diagram below, the measure of angle BOC equals 77 degrees. BOC is that angle. How do we know? Because you can follow the letters B, O, C, and that traps this angle. And then we're asked to find these two angle measures. Find the measure of COD. Well, COD is down here. COD, right? COD. So if you take a look at these two here, those two are complementary, meaning they equal 90 degrees. Okay, so if I want to figure out what the measure of this one is, take 90 and subtract 77 from it. You get 13. So I know COD is 13 degrees. Okay. And then the next question is, well, what's the measure of angle AOE? Well, here's angle AOE. And what you should notice is these two angles are vertical angles. So those two angles are congruent. Then, okay, so let's move on. 10 says lines L and M, there's L and M are parallel. Which angles is supplementary to angle 5 and which angles is congruent to angle 5? Maybe we should put R congruent. The test, you only need to find one. It's actually multiple choice. But there are multiple ones. Let me highlight angle 5. And then I'm going to find the congruent angles first. I'm going to actually highlight them. I know 5 and 7 are congruent because those are vertical angles. And then I know also 5 is congruent to angle 3 because 5 and 3 are alternate interior angles. And finally, I know angle 5 is congruent to angle 1 because they're corresponding angles. Okay, so in my diagram, I know all of those are congruent. 5 is the main one, and then they're congruent. 5 is congruent to all of these. So that means all of these have the same angle measure. Now all the other ones are supplementary to 5. Remember, supplementary means when you add them, it equals 180. Okay, so 5 and 8, it should be obvious about 5 and 8 because it's a linear pair, right? 5 and 6, same thing, linear pair. And then 5 and 4, and then 5 and 2. So all of these angles are supplementary to angle 5. Okay, if you draw this diagram, just make sure you know, okay, it's these are the ones that are congruent. Anything else will be supplementary to 5. And then, I'm going to leave this up here a little bit. Number 11, it says in the diagram below, or the diagram below has two parallel lines cut by a transversal. Find the value of x, given that the measure of angle 1 and the measure of angle 2, well, the measure of angle 1 is 100 and the measure of angle 2 equals 6x plus 20. So if you look at the two angles, they're here. If you look at my previous diagram, it's these two, the two inside ones. Sure, they have different numbers, but they're in the same position. Okay, these two are not equal. They're supplementary. So since they're supplementary, I know these two add up to 180. Remember, they're going to be equal or they add up to 180. Now that I figured out that they add up to 180, I'm going to make my substitutions. Measure of angle 1 is 100. Measure of angle 2, 6x plus 20. That equals 180. Combine like terms. Bring down the rest. Get x by itself. Inverse. Minus 120. 0, 6 times x equals 60. I'm running out of space, and we're going to go up here. The last thing we do is divide both sides by 6. We get x equals 10. Okay. And that's what we do there. So if you want to verify that, watch. Measure of angle 1 was 100. I know this was 100. And then x is 10. So if I put a 10 in there, that's 6. That's 6 times 10 is 60, plus 20 is 80. So that means this one's 80. And check it out. 100 plus 80 is 180 supplementary. Okay. Now I added a little bit to this one. I put in 2 pictures. Well, I put in this picture here. This one you have, this one you don't have. Okay. Because I wanted to show you the error in different ways. So it says a student concludes that angle 1 is congruent to angle 2 by the corresponding angles postulate. That's wrong. Describe the error in the reasoning. Okay. And then I wrote down what the postulate is here. The postulate says when 2 parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then the corresponding angles are congruent. So what you wanna verify basically. First, you want to verify if the lines are parallel. Then you want to verify if the angles are corresponding. So if you look at this line and this line, shoot, that's not parallel. Okay, and more specifically, the lines are not parallel. That's the error in the reasoning. That's why 1 and 2 are not congruent. They're not congruent because the lines are not parallel. In this example, like in this picture, in this diagram right here. And then this one, angle 1 is not congruent to angle 2. And it's not because the lines aren't parallel, because if you look at the lines, they look parallel. So we can be like, yeah, they're parallel. But remember I said there's 2 things you want to verify. This checks out, but this does not check out. Okay? The angles are not corresponding. Okay? They're not corresponding angles. 1 and 2 are same side interior or consecutive interior. Okay? So that's why those 2 angles are not equal. And that's an example for number 12. Okay?